Did you know that some of the world's most famous rock stars have stayed faithful for decades, even while living the wild life of rock and roll? Let's uncover the stories of 20 legendary musicians who never cheated. 20. Bono. What if I told you that one of the biggest rock stars in the world started out sharing a home with his bandmates and wife? Bono and Ali Stewart's marriage has defied the odds for over 34 years. U2 frontman Bono and wife Ali Stewart met 40 years ago and have been happily married for 34 years. Stewart has been there for Bono even way before U2 broke records and stood at the top of the success ladder. The couple married in Ireland on August 21, 1982, in a ceremony that combined both Protestant rituals and those of the Shalom friendship group to which Bono adheres. They were of humble beginnings, as they did not even have enough money to have a honeymoon because of the debt the band owed to Island Records at that time. Their first home was also one that they shared with the rest of the U2 band members. Although Bono is certainly one of the most famous names in the rock industry, Ali Stewart has no problem holding her own, being a well-decorated academic with degrees in social science, politics, and sociology. Bono and Stewart have 4 children together. 19. Steven VanZant. Can you imagine your favorite on-screen couple from The Sopranos actually being married in real life? Meet Steven VanZant and his wife Maureen Santoro. This rock couple has been together for over 3 decades. Rock and roll married soprano. Not quite in the literal sense, but you get the point. Bruce Springsteen's guitarist and The Sopranos actor Steven Little Stevie VanZant has been married to actress Maureen Santoro, famously known for her role as VanZant's character's wife in The Sopranos, for 34 years. This couple is living proof of life imitates art and stays strong through it all. They wed on December 21, 1982 in a ceremony officiated by the High Priest of Rock and Roll, Little Richard. VanZant and his wife founded the Rock and Roll Forever Foundation in 2007. Their nonprofit organization provides programs that provide education of the history of rock. The foundation boasts a star-studded board of trustees including Bruce Springsteen, Bono, and Martin Scorsese. 18. Dee Snider. What happens when a glam rocker falls for a teenage girl who sneaks into a nightclub? For Dee Snider, it turned into 35 years of marriage and a wild story. Dee Snider of Twisted Sister may not look like the type to settle down, but he's been married to his wife Suzette for 35 years. They met when Suzette was only 15 and Dee Snider was 21 in a nightclub in Long Island. So what was a 15-year-old doing in a nightclub with a glam rocker? Well, as many party-thirsty teenagers have done, she snuck in, probably with a fake ID. And they probably shared the same interests in glittery, flared, low neckline suits as Suzette is a costume designer. Snider said in his memoir, Shut Up and Give Me the Mic, that they were allowed to date after Snider convinced his crush's parents that everything would be okay. They have 4 kids together: Jesse Blaze, 1982, Shane Royal, 1988, Cody Blue, 1989, and Cheyenne Jean, 1996. They all made an appearance on Celebrity Wife Swap in 2012. Dee's wife Suzette traded places with Flavor Flav's longtime fiancée Liz. 17. Pat Benatar. What if you could tell at first glance that someone is the love of your life? Pat Benatar experienced that moment, and 40 years later, the rock icon is still with Neil Giraldo. In her autobiography, Between a Heart and a Rock Place, Pat Benatar said when she saw Neil Giraldo for the first time, she thought to herself, "Girl, you have just seen the father of your children." She was right. Pat Benatar and her spouse, Neil Giraldo, met in 1978 when they were just starting their careers. While it's her name on the band's records, the pair have always seen their music as a collaboration. I didn't want to be a solo artist, Pat said in an interview. I wanted what Robert Plant and Jimmy Page had together, or Keith and Mick. I wanted that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They married in 1982, and their love of music and each other has never wavered. I didn't start this by myself, she said. He and I did this together from day one. We're connected in so many ways, all of them combined together. Your parents, your lovers, your husband and wife, your grandparents, your musicians, your writers. I mean, it's so much. It was a partnership from the very beginning, Neil added. We were just two missing pieces that found each other. Geraldo and Benatar have two daughters, Hannah Geraldo, born in 1985, and Haley Geraldo Williams, born in 1994. In 2016, the pair opened up to the Miami Herald about a key to their marriage success, and Geraldo explained, "In our personal life, Patricia is the assertive one. In our musical life, I'm the assertive one." 16. Joe Perry. Can you imagine being a rock star who points to his wife's picture on his guitar during concerts to keep the groupies away? That's Joe Perry's ultimate move of loyalty. In his 2014 memoir, Rocks, My Life In and Out of Aerosmith, Joe Perry revealed that he has a guitar with his wife's picture on it and often points to it or his wedding ring if women in the crowd get too flirty. I was always kind of a one-girl guy, and I was always looking for the right girl. I finally found her, wife Billy Perry. We have a 30-year marriage, and we're still going strong, Perry wrote. Perry told Fox News, "There were a few years before I met Billy where I went home with a waitress or two, but it was not one of my favorite things to do." Perry and Billy have two sons, Tony Perry, 1986, and Roman Perry, 1991. Montgomery has a son from a previous relationship, and Perry also has a son from his first marriage. Although Billy and Perry met while he was making his Black Velvet Pants video in 1983, she didn't know much about the rock music world when they got married. Perry told Radio.com in October 2014 that Montgomery didn't know who Aerosmith was because she was more interested in the underground and punk scene. She heard a couple of songs on the radio and that was really about it, Perry said. And it wasn't until a few years later when we were living together that she was going through some old boxes of stuff. She saw some magazines from the 70s, some gold records here and there. Perry said he really doesn't like to display his awards, telling Radio.com, "My feeling is you're only as good as your next record. You got a gold record for your last one? You got to do better on your next one." 15. David Bowie. What if one of the biggest rock icons of all time met his soulmate through a hairstylist? David Bowie and supermodel Iman's love story is just as legendary as his music. Rock superstar and icon David Bowie and Somalian supermodel Iman were married for 24 years until Bowie's death in January 2016 after privately suffering from liver cancer. It was apparently love at first sight for the two household names thanks to the matchmaking of Bowie's friend, hairstylist Teddy Antolin, who introduced them after learning how lonely Bowie had been getting despite the peak of his fame and success. Iman revealed that the secret to her long-lasting marriage to Bowie was timing. They were both ready to settle down when they met and got engaged only months after their first meeting. When asked if the supermodel ever gave fashion tips to her husband, she laughed and said, "What are you, crazy? We're talking about David Bowie. He is fashion." The couple has one daughter, Alexandria Zara Jones, born in 2000. 14. Alex Lifeson. Imagine being a rock legend and spending your entire life with your high school sweetheart. That's exactly what Rush's Alex Lifeson has done, proving that true love stands the test of time. When it comes to the world of rock music, few names resonate as powerfully as Alex Lifeson, the legendary guitarist of the iconic band Rush. However, behind every great musician is an equally remarkable partner, and in Lifeson's life, that partner is his wife, Charlene. Their relationship has not only stood the test of time, but has also become a source of inspiration for many fans and aspiring couples alike. Charlene Živojinovic was not only Alex Lifeson's high school sweetheart, she was also the first girlfriend the guitarist ever had. Rush had a concert the day after the couple was married, so Charlene flew down to their honeymoon spot alone, and Lifeson trickled in the next day. Charlene gave birth to their eldest son Justin in October 1970 and another son Adrian in 1977, 2 years after they married. Adrian is also involved in music and performed on 2 tracks from Lifeson's 1996 solo project, Victor. Charlene has been a steadfast companion to Alex, supporting him through the ups and downs of his illustrious career. Their bond is a testament to the power of love and commitment, proving that even in the fast-paced world of rock and roll, strong relationships can flourish. 13. Don Henley. What happens when a rock star sticks by his wife during her battle with a life-altering disease? Don Henley's story is one of loyalty, love, and dedication. Don Henley is faithful to his wedding vows in sickness and in health. The Eagles drummer has been married to his wife Sharon Summerall since January 1994 after dating for 5 months and being engaged for about 11 months. Summerall was a former model from Texas who also studied art in Paris. They had a star-studded wedding reception that included rock and roll icons such as Bruce Springsteen, Sting, Glenn Frey, Sheryl Crow, Billy Joel, and Tony Bennett. In 2005, after being married for 11 years, Henley's wife was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. When asked about how his wife was doing, Henley answered, "We're fortunate in that she has the relapsing remitting form of MS, not the kind where you go straight downhill, so she's holding her own. There are about 80 new drugs in the pipeline at the moment, so we feel hopeful about the future." 12. Getty Lee. What happens when a private rock star keeps his marriage out of the limelight but remains loyal? Getty Lee's decades-long relationship with Nancy Young is a quiet yet powerful love story. Getty Lee met his future wife Nancy Young via her brother Lindy, who was a member of Rush for a short time in the early days. Lee has been private about his marriage and family life over the years, going through a time when he wouldn't speak much to the media unless it was strictly related to his musical endeavors. Lee has been described as an atheist, but married Nancy in a Jewish ceremony reportedly to make his mother happy. They have a son, Julian, and a daughter, Kyla Avril Young. The relationship between Getty Lee and Nancy Young is not just a tale of 2 people in the limelight, it reflects themes of love, support, and shared dreams that resonate with many. From their humble beginnings to the heights of success, their journey together paints a vivid picture of how 2 individuals can influence each other's trajectories in profound ways. 11. Bob Seager. How do you keep a song dedicated to your wife a secret for 3 years? Just ask Bob Seager, who surprised his wife Juanita Doricott with a beautiful tribute after their decades-long marriage. Bob Seager and Juanita Doricott started dating in 1991 and married in a small private ceremony in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan 2 years later. Seager dedicated one of his songs, "You Take Me In," as a surprise to Doricott, and she found out after the Ride Out album's release. The singer later admitted he kept it a secret from her for 3 years. Another song, "Are You," from the album Face the Promise, took inspiration from an incident when Nita was shopping for children's shoes over the internet. They have 2 children, Cole Seager, 1992, and Samantha Char, 1995. The couple lives in Orchard Lake Village, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. Rock icon Bob Seager has sold more than 50 million albums, and he's not done yet. His recently released album Ride Out earned the number 3 spot on the Billboard 200, the highest of his already historic 50-year career. While his latest music is being hailed as some of his best, it's his past work that earned him a spot in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004 and the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2012. 10. Sting. How can one of the rowdiest frontmen in rock have one of the most stable marriages? Sting and Trudy Styler defy the odds with their lasting love that spanned decades. Sting's rowdy reputation may have broken up the Police, but the same surely cannot be said about his marriage to actress and director Trudy Styler. The beginning of their relationship, however, has been admittedly an affair, as Styler was still married to her ex-husband and Sting was still married to Frances Tomelty, who ironically introduced Sting and Styler. Soon after, Sting and Styler were dating and subsequently divorcing their spouses. The couple had an extravagant wedding on August 20th, 1992 in Wiltshire, England. They have 4 children together. The couple also bought a noble estate in Tuscany, Italy in 1997, where they grow their own wine and olive oil. Styler says she and Sting celebrate their wedding anniversary in Tuscany every year since they bought the lavish property. 9. John Deacon. Who would have thought that Queen's quietest member would have one of the longest-running marriages in rock history? John Deacon and his wife Veronica are still going strong after 47 years. John Deacon has often been described as the quiet one in Queen and was usually able to avoid arguments because he didn't talk much. There's no word if that characteristic has translated into relationship success, but considering he and his wife Veronica have been married for 47 years, they certainly seem on to something. The couple has 6 kids together: Luke, Cameron, Laura, Robert, Joshua, and Michael. John met Veronica Tetzlaff on March 26, 1971 at the Maria Assumpta College Disco just a couple of months after joining Queen and soon started dating. Veronica shocked her parents when she fell pregnant in late 1974 with their first child. John Deacon and Veronica hastily married on January 18, 1975 at a Carmelite church in Kensington Church Street. Veronica's family were members of this order of Catholicism named after Mount Carmel in Palestine and dedicated to a strictly orthodox application of the faith. John wrote You're My Best Friend, A Night at the Opera, and You and I, A Day at the Races for her. 8. Alice Cooper. What happens when shock rock marries classical ballet? That's Alice Cooper's 40-year marriage to Cheryl Goddard, a story as unique as Cooper's onstage persona. When shock rock marries classical ballet, it's hard to imagine it would work. But that is exactly what the marriage of Alice Cooper and Cheryl Goddard is all about. 18-year-old dance student Cheryl Goddard had not one idea about rock music as she was trained as a classical ballerina. She says, I knew everything about Bach, Rachmaninoff, Schumann, Mozart, but nothing about rock and roll. After her classmates convinced her to audition for Alice Cooper's global Welcome to My Nightmare tour in 1975, she got the part for 2 dancing jobs and went on tour with the Prince of Shock Rock himself. They met and then dated for 12 months before getting married in Acapulco, Mexico. The couple is now 40 years strong. Cheryl says about the secret of their good marriage, I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect marriage, but ours is probably one of the best I've ever seen. Right you are, Mrs. Cooper. Alice made headlines in 2019 after he revealed he'd made a pact with his wife to die together because neither of them wanted to live without the other. He later clarified what he meant, saying it's more of a life pact and that they want to spend as much time as possible together while they're alive. They have 3 kids, Calico, 1981, Dashiell, 1985, and Sonora, 1992. 7. Angus Young. Would you believe that AC/DC's energetic guitarist is married to a woman nearly a foot taller than him? Angus Young and Ellen Van Locum have kept their relationship private for over 4 decades. Young and Van Locum met through their mutual friend, Dutch guitarist Adrian Vandenberg, whom Ellen knew in college. The musical connection eventually led to a chance meeting with Angus at one of AC/DC's concerts, and the two hit it off. These two are proof that height doesn't matter in a relationship. Angus is 5 feet 2 inches and Ellen is close to 6 feet tall. They own homes in Australia, the UK, and the Netherlands. Angus Young and Ellen first met in 1979 in the Dutch town of Arnhem. The pair dated for some time and eventually exchanged their wedding vows in 1980 in a private wedding ceremony. However, the two have since kept their marriage away from the public eye. Angus McKinnon Young is an Australian musician, songwriter, and producer. He is famous for being the co-founder, lead guitarist, songwriter, and only remaining founding member of the hard rock band AC/DC. He is recognized for his energetic stage performances, iconic schoolboy outfit, and blistering guitar solos, and his distinctive playing style and memorable riffs have made him a significant figure in rock music. 6. Ian Anderson. How does a rock legend balance life on a farm and life on a stage? Jethro Tull's Ian Anderson and his wife Shona have been managing it for over 40 years. Shona Leroyd had studied ballet for 10 years, but by the time she met Ian Anderson, she was serving as a press officer at Jethro Tull's record label. She later worked on the band's in-concert special effects and remains actively involved in the band's music. The two live on a farm in southwest England where Anderson has a recording studio and office. They have 2 children, James and Gael, the latter of whom is married to actor Andrew Lincoln, who plays the role of Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead. Anderson married Shona Leroyd in 1976, described by Rolling Stone magazine as a beautiful convent-educated daughter of a wealthy wool manufacturer. She had studied ballet for 10 years, though when Anderson met her, she was working as a press officer at Jethro Tull's then record label, Chrysalis Records. The couple have lived in a 16th century red brick farmhouse on the 500-acre Popleys estate in Radnage, England, in Kilmarie House on their Strathaird estate on the Isle of Skye in Scotland, as well as a short time in Montreux, Switzerland. They currently live in Wiltshire, England, and have another house in Switzerland near Montreux. 5. Keith Richards. How does one of rock's wildest icons stay married for over 30 years? For Keith Richards, it's all thanks to his wife, Patty Hansen, who helped him stay grounded through it all. On Keith Richards' 70th birthday, he also celebrated his 30th wedding anniversary to his wife, former model Patty Hansen. 2 things are quite surprising here. First is that Keith Richards, despite his notorious rock and roll lifestyle of sex, drugs, and booze, has lived to be a septuagenarian, and second is that his marriage lasted up to 30 years, and counting. What's the secret, you may ask? Well, the Rolling Stones guitarist says it's all because of his darling wife, stating, "Thank God for Mrs. Patty Hansen, who has finally got her way and put me on the straight and narrow." Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards met supermodel Patty Hansen at Manhattan's famous Studio 54 in 1979, just after Last Call. Hansen and her friends wanted champagne, and Richards came through with a bottle and a crush on Hansen. "I didn't see her again for a while, but the vision stayed in my mind," he later said in his autobiography Life. Hansen told Harper's Bazaar she saved every note Richards wrote as he was courting her, and some of them were written in his own blood. "It looks disgusting when it dries, but he loves the color red," she said. 3 of Richards' 5 children came from his first marriage to Anita Pallenberg, and 2 are with Hansen. 4. Michael Anthony. Would you believe that the bassist of Van Halen has been married to his high school sweetheart for over 3 decades? Michael Anthony and his wife Susan have one of the strongest marriages in rock. The world knows Michael Anthony as a hardcore rocker, most famed as the bassist of Van Halen. But when the bassist is not on the humongous stages, moving thousands and thousands of music fanatics to the rhythm of his bass, he is a regular guy, finding happiness and contentment in the fulfilling family life he built with his wife of over 3 decades. The beginning of a happy marriage for Michael dates back to 1985 when he shared a lifetime of commitment with his wife, Susan Hendry. And what adds magic to their love story is that they have been together since their high school days and have seen each other grow together through different phases of life. Having been through thick and thin together, their unwavering love life is unquestionably a relationship goal. Michael takes every chance to show his love and gratitude towards his better half, whether it be through his swoon-worthy Instagram posts dedicated to her or through his award acceptance speech. Michael, recognized for his tremendous contribution to the music, was awarded a Rock Gods Hall of Fame award. In the surreal and exhilarating moment, Michael addressed the important companions in his life who have helped him achieve the greatest feat, and one of the noteworthy persons in his journey to unprecedented success is none other than his spouse. 3. Ringo Star. How does a relationship that started on a movie set turn into a 40-year marriage? Ringo Starr and Barbara Bach have defied the odds of Hollywood romances and stuck together. Ringo Starr had been divorced for about 5 years from his first wife Maureen when he met actress Barbara Bach on the set of the movie Caveman, where the two were co-stars. Caveman was out of theaters 10 days before the couple walked down the aisle in April of 1981, and the relationship has now outlived it by more than 40 years. I think I love Barbara as much today as I did when we met, Starr told People in 2015, and I'm beyond blessed that she loves me and we're still together. Bach's sister Marjorie later married Ringo's friend and Eagles member Joe Walsh. Former Beatles member Ringo Starr met his wife Barbara Bach on the set of the film Caveman in 1980, and they were promptly married in April of 1981. Ringo and the former Bond girl from The Spy Who Loved Me split their time between their homes in Los Angeles and Monte Carlo. You may have seen Bach most recently alongside her husband in the audience at this year's Grammy Beatles tribute. 2. Billie Joe Armstrong. Would you marry someone after knowing them for just a few days? Billie Joe Armstrong did, and decades later, he and Adrian are still going strong. Billie Joe Armstrong met Adrian Nesser, the sister of professional skateboarder Steve Nesser, at a Green Day performance in Minneapolis in 1990. Adrian discovered she was pregnant the day after their wedding, and Joseph Marciano Joey Armstrong was born on February 28, 1995. Their second son, Jacob Danger Armstrong, was born on September 12, 1998. Armstrong later told Rolling Stone of his sudden marriage and fatherhood. I was very impulsive at that time. I think that impulsive behavior was meant to counteract the chaos in my life. Armstrong's impulsive behavior has led to having one of the longest running marriages in rock. Billie Joe Armstrong has been married to his wife Adrian Armstrong since 1994. Billie Joe, lead vocalist of Green Day, has had a long and successful music career, reaching #1 in the charts with 3 of his band's albums and winning 5 Grammy Awards along the way. But he's had his wife by his side to support him ever since 1994, when they got back together and got married after first meeting in 1990. Since then, they've had 2 children together and gone into business with each other too. In 2016, he told Collider, "My wife is the CEO of the family. I'm the fun guy, just trying to make it up as I go along." He told Esquire in 2024, "I married the right person. That's a big deal. My wife really was smarter than I was. I was more spontaneous and wild, where she could be more practical and knew how to make plans better. But we were the right people for each other." 1. John Bon Jovi. What if I told you that one of the most famous rock stars in the world has been happily married to his high school sweetheart for over 3 decades? John Bon Jovi's love story is as iconic as his music. John Bon Jovi has been happily married to his high school sweetheart for 27 years now. Despite the success of his career in rock and roll, the veteran musician maintains a humble family life in his home state of New Jersey with his wife, black belt karate instructor Dorothea Hurley, and their 4 children. The couple met in high school but didn't start dating until early on in John's career. In April 1989, John and Dorothea eloped and had a last-minute wedding in Las Vegas. It's already rare for rock stars to have a long-lasting marriage, as it is rare for Vegas weddings to be long-lasting at all. John says of his elopement to Hurley, "We did it for us and didn't give a damn. I got a lot of heat from it. Between the band, my parents, everybody was pissed off. It took me a couple of days before I realized that I don't give a shit what anybody thinks." And to that, he's proven everyone who doubted this sweet couple wrong. The two worked together on the charity Soul Foundation, which launched the JBJ Soul Kitchens to help the homeless. They maintain a close-knit family life with their 4 kids, daughter Stephanie, 1993, and sons Jesse, 1995, Jacob, 2002, and Romeo, 2004. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more rock and roll stories. And hey, why not check out our other videos about your favorite rock legends? See you next time!